What I find the most beautiful about Japanese psychology is that it's so simple. It's just so beautifully simple. And it starts with acknowledging that our feelings and thoughts are in their nature uncontrollable. We cannot control them. We need to accept when they come in and go and just focus on what we can control, which is our action. And even better, if our action is based instead of this ever-changing feelings, which often happens, we are reactive. I'm first one to be blamed also, but I'm working on it. And I feel like once we realize we can base our action on our purpose or purposes or how we want to show up in the world. And then whenever in doubt, we come back to it. We come back to what is important to us and we decide consciously, no, I'm not going to be reactive. I'm going to accept these uncontrollable feelings and I'm going to do what needs doing, what this very moment requires from me to do. So acceptance, the action, the constructive actions based on our purpose, the attention that it's focused outwardly. It's not about escapism. It's just about stopping to dwell on the past that we cannot control or the future that we are not there yet. And if we are in the future, we lose the now. And it's just like so simple. All these things like being present, ichigo, ichie, it's being present, or gaman, the endurance for dignity, accepting the challenge and growing through it. Kaizen, instead of big revolutionary changes, just let's take small steps, but consistently towards gaining that momentum. And then it becomes easier, like with habits. So it's just like so beautifully easy. And sometimes I feel like we are looking for this enlightenment, these very complicated healing therapies, or we dwell on whys or our childhood. I've been on to so many therapies in my life. And I feel like I'm sure it helps people and the Western psychology is relevant. But I personally, at least subjectively, can say that working with my body, working with my voice, breath work, and with the now and accepting whatever is uncomfortable and being of service has changed my life forever. And it's so simple. It's just took a long journey to get there. And I'm sure it's an ongoing process and I still struggle. But at least I have some tools and I really hope to make these tools available to everybody else. And I continue and I look forward to continue learning as well.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes when you're offered strategies, techniques, advice that's simple, we often dismiss it because change and transformation has to be hard. And of course, there's challenges in life and it depends on what layers of trauma that you're kind of digging through. But oftentimes the most simple, effective, easy to adopt strategies are the ones we negate the fastest because we don't think it's hard enough or we need to challenge ourselves too much to get through that. I can relate very much to thinking leaving your home and going somewhere else is going to fix all your problems, as if your habits and behaviors and patterns aren't just going to magically pop up in Italy because you left to go to Italy. If anything, it accelerates that mirror. Your travel will accelerate that mirror of seeing the shit that you're trying to not pay attention to because you're going to be faced out of your comfort zone. And I think that's the beauty of having extended time to travel, like a sabbatical offers these women. And so you do talk about that you often work with women who are navigating life transitions, navigating burnout, mental health, all of these things that the whole world is dealing with right now. What are some of the common transitions or common life changes that you see women struggle with that come to you for help to be able to design a sabbatical that will help them? What are some of these life things that are happening for them?
Thanks, Kelly. There is some common pattern, as I slightly touched on a few minutes ago. So usually there's either women who are in their 30s or 40s. They are very successful, very hardworking. They pride themselves on being hardworking, and oftentimes they are quite affluent, but they lack purpose. And they already feel it very strongly, and they cannot deny it. And they hit the wall, and they're like, I cannot continue this way, but they are really scared. They are looking for the accountability partner for their transition process, and they want tools because they're afraid. They're so methodological that they know they need to follow a certain pattern to get there. So they are usually looking for the structure of how they can make this change happen and have somebody who's going to, as you said, cheer for them and make them accountable. That's, I would say, number one profile of women reaching out. They're mostly English native speakers from South Africa, Canada, US, of course, UK, Australia, Germany. Those are like Singapore, the most hardworking, I would say, maybe burnout countries out there. I don't know. I shouldn't be saying that, but yeah, that's what my impression has been. The other group of people who've been reaching out, they are about age of 60. Empty nesters, women who oftentimes are getting through some painful divorce, for example, or are willing to invest in themselves, or they are looking for to invest in themselves and go somewhere on their own. And very oftentimes is their first solo trip, being 60. So they are kind of learning to be independent. And they are really interested in going through that process. They are scared, but I am amazed by the courage that they have and the openness to go through those processes with a lot of trust. So I would say those are the major life transitions that those people are going through. Of course, breakups, like after long relationships as well, is like often there's a case that is out there often. But yeah, I would say these three situations: career changes, personal changes, and maybe this, how do you call it? There's a term for it, the gray sabbatical. They call when people above a certain age, retired, often take this time for themselves to reinvent their purpose for the last period of their lives. We also started the program with counting the remaining days. So on average, people living in the Western world, we live on average 30,000 days, which is around approximately 80 years. So we start by counting that, how many days remain for us, not to panic or to be depressed because of that, but rather to really, it usually motivates people to do something to make this day count. So we're starting with that, with the realization of where we are at in our life. We also do an important element, Kelly, is taking the time to re-examine, not just self-reflect, not just like whatever self-reflect, because it may go everywhere. It might go nowhere really too if we say like, oh, self-reflect please. We are trying to inspire women to take the time to re-examine their life by asking them a noikan. It comes from Japanese psychology as well. 3 questions, which are as follows. The first one is, what have I received? For example, in the last year or in the last week, or from my husband. You can do it on people too. What have I received that benefited me? The first column. Then the second is, what have I given that benefited them? Even the world, or my husband, or my mom, whoever we are doing this exercise on. And the first question is the problems and difficulties we caused to others. And we are supposed to do it for like somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes and really take time to go deep